And we go to Honorable Miri Mabona.
Thank you, Chair. And I want to thank the Cabinet Secretary and the entire Treasury for a good presentation. And Chair, I just want to say that I support the budget cuts, and even though that I think we can reduce even further. I think I'm not saying just because of what is happening here. I have actually said it before in this committee, because we need to be very realistic in the way we do our budgeting. I saw a comment by one of the Gen Zs that was actually equating our national budget to our own family budgets. And if you have only 10,000 Kenya shillings and you need to do food, buy food and buy shoes, you can't do shoes and then leave food. But the way we have been budgeting is actually the opposite. We are buying shoes and leaving food. And when we do that, then there is pressure for us to increase revenue, and hence the finance, infamous finance bill. So for me, it's very important that we are more realistic, because we create an artificial need for revenue when we can actually budget as a country within our means. I know we have blamed the IMFs and all, and I'm sure they are doing wrong. But first, let us point fingers at ourselves before we point fingers even at the IMF, because there are things we can do at home that don't need to put those kind of pressure on us. Chair, the only thing, other thing I wanted to indicate is that I've seen that the Treasury has indicated areas where they need the cuts, but without premising them on certain principles, and that's why Daktari is actually going back to leave this and that. If you want to be very fair, it's always good to move on principles. And for me, one, which I've again said several in this committee, is there equity? One, in the cuts, and secondly, not only just in the cuts, but in the spreading out of the little, since we are going on austerity measures. And the Chair, I don't want to be selfish, but this is a very skeletal document, which, and if with the documents that you have on cuts, yeah, they are about from page 1 to page 9, yeah. If you are looking at the estimates, the printed estimates, they are like this voluminous, they are that big. What is the possibility that 2 projects in my constituency, for instance, would be here? That shows lack of equity. I don't mind programs in my constituency being removed for us to deal with the issues of austerity now and to deal with the crisis in the country, but there must be equity, both in cuts and also in spreading out what is remaining. Secondly, we must look at or preserve the pro-people project, the one that reaches people directly, especially Gen Zs, in terms of job creation, but also in terms of training. So if you are removing the ones that are reaching them, but we are retaining some which may not have that sort of value, it doesn't help. Then third, projects that can stimulate the economy. And Chair, for instance, there are some construction, there are ongoing constructions which you don't need. I know there are many we've removed, but there are some that I've actually seen that are there. Again, consolidating roles is another. Unfortunately, one of the areas I've seen is an area I'm very passionate about, so I will not say it, I will not mention it, but it's an area I'm very passionate about. But they have 3 different agencies doing one thing. It's a lot of wastage. And if you are serious, and that's what part of the conditionalities I think that IMF has given us, but we are going round and round like we are not able to. Again, Chair, the issue of public participation. Because we went to the public, they told us where the issue is pinching. Let's not remove that. And finally, Chair, on a light note, I can, you have told us that the demonstrations are keeping tourists away. But I actually think it's the opposite. If you can actually do away with the police beating demonstrators and the goons that are somehow infused, why? Because Ugandans will come here, Nigerians will come to see our Gen Zs are actually demonstrating with style, you know. They are good, they dance, they do no peaceful, no distraction. So we can actually use it to bring more tourists. So just be nice to the Gen Zs. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Chris Aseka, member for Kuisero.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, PCS. And I want to declare some interest. PCS is my political father. We only parted ways when he declared an earthquake.
So umeharibika afterwards.
No, when he declared an earthquake, I thought maybe it would bring down the whole world. I didn't know that it was a political earthquake. But it's good to know that he's brought me up in politics. I have to